Brad, as someone who's overcome the odds of operating a successful LCS, what did you think of the video released by Alpha Investments? I actually like the video, but it's very intricate. Did you actually get a chance to see that video? It's pretty. It's actually almost an hour long. It's actually a full length video breakdown of LCSs.
Big time. I watched the whole thing, and I thought he did. I thought he did a great job. Honestly, he goes over that. I had a guy came in to me today, and he wants to open up a store, and he's a very nice guy. And I tried to explain. I'm actually going to flip him the video. I just was like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just not something I recommend. It's the same thing if someone says to open up a restaurant right now. I'm just like, don't do it. It's taking AMG Collectibles a long time to get where it's at. And, it's not a cash cow. Like there's tons of people through, but operating expenses are through the roof. We buy product now. Like when Topps comes out for AMG, there's a lot of product. As soon as we get it, we put it out on the shelf. We can buy it cheaper online than what we just paid for it from the distributor. So there's lots of products you lose money on, and it's just very tough. And I think he did a great job of breaking that down. Everyone sees the home runs, but they don't see the.
So I want to emphasize. I want to emphasize as we're talking here. I put the video here. It's from Alpha Investments, the YouTube channel, and literally it's called "How to Open a Stupid Card Business." Now, again, just to be clear, if you ever follow this channel, Rudy doesn't take himself too seriously. He goes all over the place. He's a bit of a wacky character himself. But this video is a very sober breakdown with little snide jokes in between, but it's a fairly sober breakdown of the challenges of trying to run that kind of a business, the amount of cash that's required in order to make it happen, the amount of inventory you have to buy, and then what happens as soon as something goes wrong. Even if everything is perfect, he gave this scenario, even if it's perfect, how much cash outlay did you have to risk? How many things? And then what happens as soon as something goes wrong? And then you still need the cash to cover because one of these things didn't work out. You're hanging on, you came off this amazing product, you sold all of it, great, and you were able to get lots of allocation. These are assumptions, by the way, because in real life, maybe you get the allocation, maybe you don't. Maybe you get as much as you want, maybe you get too much. Maybe you get stuck with a product you can't sell. All these things play into it, and he literally gives you, he simplifies it, but he gives you a really good breakdown of why this is not a business for everybody, and it's not the first thing you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So
he is a character. I really enjoy his videos. He's a highly intelligent. I don't know him personally, obviously, but highly intelligent, very quirky. But I just, Luke, do you watch him? Rudy?
No,
He's a very interesting dude, Luke. I think you would enjoy it in the background, if nothing else. But there are a lot of little in jokes where if you've been watching for a while, you'll get it. But there's a lot of little in jokes. But interspersed in between will be videos like this because he did once upon a time have a bit of a financial background and operate in that world. But now he operates as somebody who runs a warehouse with a lot of product, so he understands how to run a business. So when he gets in the weeds here, he at least knows what he's talking about. So it's not like. It's actually a pretty good breakdown of some of the challenges that you have to consider in that world. Again, with a lot of silliness interspersed in between. And then he'll go back to videos where it's just more nonsense and ridiculousness.
So in the last 5 years, I've supplied and helped out 3 people open up hobby shops, and all 3 have failed. Mm-hmm. So I lent that, from experience, I'm giving him the best advice I possibly can. Mm-hmm. Unless you have deep pockets, you have all these things. You have I think I used the analogy once before. Like it's like you take a cow into a butcher. You have to, in order to make money off of that cow, you have to utilize all the components of it. Mm-hmm. For an LCS now to survive, make money, and pay employees, you can't just be one of anything. AMG has the fortunate, we start with as a bulk submitter, we have good allocation. We deal in vintage cards. We dabble in comics. We deal in dollar cards. We deal in discounts. We promote a show. We have trade nights. Mm-hmm. We support some breakers. We are opening up a breaking division. You have to do all those things in order to succeed now. And it makes it very difficult. It's very difficult to succeed, even for someone that has been established like AMG has. So.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And one other thing I'll add as well is that we made jokes about it in a lot of the previous episodes we talked about it, or on Friday when we'll talk about it. Like even we'll talk about again, the reason I like the Alpha Investments video is because he uses very generic baseline examples that still tell you what some of the challenges are. It gives you enough information where if you not too familiar with it, it gives you enough to at least understand the basics of what you need to know. But perfect example of what we talked about. We had talked about that, those AEW products we've talked about on the Friday show, some of the challenges of that. I went in and I chatted with you when we were at the expo last, and I bought one of the boxes. You know, I chatted with you, and I got a little discount tossed in. But you guys were trying to clear out the last of the couple of boxes, and you were
Yep.
holding some of those boxes forever. And it's one of those things where you sold some, but at the same time, you also sold some to me. And I'm way out of province for you guys. So it's just to be able to sell a couple of those. But guess what? What if you're somebody who doesn't have that ability and you're still holding the product? At what point? So how far do you discount it? Because there's still a cost when you purchase in the first place. And if that product doesn't move and you tell Upper Deck, well, I'm not taking it, then how are you going to get the rest of the stuff? You have to take some of this stuff occasionally to get the other stuff that you do want, that you know will sell, and it'll go right out the door right away.
I'm doing a little napkin math here just to kind of throw out a number. This is based on all facts.
Yeah, and good
So
evening,
Upper Deck Extended comes out in June 6th, so in two weeks roughly. So Upper Deck Extended. So in order to maintain our proper allocations, AMG Collectibles will buy 600 boxes of Upper Deck Extended. 600 boxes will cost $79,350. So you have to put out $80,000 in capital. And on those 600 boxes, they're going to make $2. Going to make $1,650 if we sell it all. So you're laying out 80 grand to make $1,600 to move it all. Now you could put out, but if you don't sell it and make such a small margin just to move it, you can sit on it. We could put it out at 160, 170 a box, but it's not going to sell. Then what are you going to do when the next product comes out because you have no money? So it's going to creates havoc. So you have to know how to move things, and it's tough. But you have any business where it's like, hey, lay out 80 grand to make two and sell 600 individual boxes, that's tough, right?
How about that?
That's
ROI?
a 2%. That's a 2% margin.
Yeah. But and thank you, Brad, for giving that concrete example. But isn't that the conversation we've had on the Friday show before and talked about it? It's like, I think there's an assumption in cards. It's like, oh man, you must be making money hand over fist. It's like margins traditionally are very small. This boom period where a lot of people were turning cards into like multiples of multiple, that's the anomaly. That hasn't been the rule in the cards, but in the boxes either, because so many people have already taken their piece. The manufacturer made it at price X, sent it to the distributor who paid Y, and then the dealer on the third side of it, the person who gets it at the end of the distribution, pays Y plus 20%, 30%, 50%, 150%, whatever the number they come up with. You're the third person on that, and then the consumer's the fourth person on this exchange.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And then everyone comes back. It's like, oh yeah, well, what did you make on the cup? Okay, well, you have to buy all these other things in order to get your allocation for the cup. So we get, say, 48 boxes of the cup. We make $400 a box. We make $19,000 on the cup.
Yeah. But
So
I think the key point is that if it was just the cup, then you'd buy 600 of the cup. You'd be like, okay, can I just have the 600 tins of the cup? I can sell that.
Yeah, and it's not quite like overall you do good, but it requires a lot of capital and a lot of know-how so you don't get stuck. Because all it takes, if you lie down and you don't pay attention to your inventory, unless you have unlimited cash flow, if you don't do that in a month, in a 4 to 6 week period, boom, that can be the nail in the coffin for your business, right? And it did happen when Upper Deck had all those releases that were coming out all at once. It was the nail in the coffin for a lot of businesses, right?
Agreed. Thank you for that. And that was Business Minute with Brad Hartland.